I'm Ryan Quinn. I'm a senior here at Berry College. I'm majoring in creative technologies, management, business, and entrepreneurship. Some of the extracurriculars I've done over my time here is I've been a part of the Berry College football team since freshman year. And actually this past year, I've been a campus outreach impact team member as well. Some of the accomplishments I've done here is I'm a 3-time All-SAA academic honor roll member. So why creative technologies and why Berry? So my story really begins back in my summer before my junior year. I was looking to get recruited to play football at the next level. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life when it came to what major I wanted to do. So my father told me about this thing called the Central Education Center. It's back home. It's actually the Chamber of Commerce came and met with the Board of Education. They discussed that they couldn't hire any of our high schoolers coming right out of high school. And so they decided to create this different school that teaches a bunch of, it's like Vo-Tech on high-tech students, is what you could call it. So that fall, I actually began taking engineering drawing and Java programming course. Next thing I knew, I fell in love with 3D design. The drafting, I was using this program called Pro-E, and it was just one of my favorite classes to take. Java was kind of second, but it was also an enjoyable class as well. Programming's not really my forte. So then finally, once the football season ended, I began the college search. I was recruited mainly in the Midwest, so Indiana, Pennsylvania, Minnesota, Illinois, all those schools up there. One of the final schools to call me was actually Berry. I was kind of reluctant to get that call, didn't have to move so far away. And then when I was looking at the majors, I saw creative technologies. I'm like, that's right up the alley. That's what I want to do. So when I came for my visit, Coach Smith actually brought me here. I met with Zane, installed a lab, and now we're here 4 years later. So what is my portfolio theme? What I want to do is I want to do design and fabrication and specification, working within CAD, CNC for precision. This theme directly correlates with the career field I plan to pursue after graduation. I'd like to pursue a career in 3D design, and along with the 3D design, I want to be able to fabricate different products and items that the company gives me and fabricate them with the CNC machines. So here are my projects that support my theme, and then also my capstone for Berry. So my first is wooden cap projects. So for our Fusion 360 class, Chris actually tasked us with creating different wooden objects. So we had a deck and then a table that we had to design. We were also told we had to use specific wood measurements. So for example, like we had to use a 4x4, it's actually had to be 3.5 by 2.5, or a 2x4 is 1.5 by 3.5. We were also tasked with creating parameters for these designs. The parameters are actually used to change a design to a specification of the customer. So the parameters in these different designs are like the total number of bores or the total number of dowels or whatever you need. The change of height and length. I can create different designs, specifications for the company and customers' needs. So here's just a wooden desk right here. You can kind of see that all the different 2x4s are long, and then all the different 4x4s right here. So you can just change the height, length, and the number of boards of those. Same thing for the deck. Exact same. You can see all the pieces like right here. All the different 4x4s as well. So the next thing is definitely one of my favorite projects here is the Chibi Cart. For our vehicles course, our team were tasked with building electric go-karts. This project shows that my team and I can build a product to a specification. Another thing that also happened was, so for our gas
something for my daughter to pick up before she goes.
Way too small.
We'll just set it over there.
Like, you guys have to figure this out.
Abigail
And we
Quinn.
took the Fusion, we marked it out, took a pair of calipers, marked out the only one,
She asked me if I had dropped it off yet. I'll
adjustments,
text her and let her know.
and then cut it out
So just leave it on.
plasma cutter.
Just leave it on over this
We
desk
created,
here.
a
Okay,
glass
thank you.
So this kind of shows that if a part does not fit, I can actually mark it up and redesign it and make it fit to the specific part specifications that are needed. So actually here's the piece right there. That's for the gas pedal holder. This is where we cut it out on the plasma cutter once we were done designing. And here's actually a couple of videos right here. The first video, if it'll ever load, is us kind of rolling around on it, showing that our Chibi cart was actually able to hold us. There we go. And then the second one was actually our last track day where we just had a good time. The goal was to throw the balls into the different baskets, which is driven by Tank Cocker and that company as well. All right, so my next project is the Campfire Stool. We were actually tasked with designing making a design within a 12 by 12 inch area of wood. You can be freedom to add any kind of design of your own. So I actually put a design from a TV show that I've been watching called Fire Force. It's a really interesting show. I've been watching it for a while now. And it just really, it seemed really simple, but also really cool to put that in. So once we designed it, we had to use the crawl bud to cut it out of a giant piece of MDF. This supports the ideas of design and fabrication within the specifications of working with the CAD and the CNC models. All right, and then the final thing is the pen plotter. So for our robotics class, we were tasked with building a tabletop CNC machine called a pen plotter. So what you would do is you would actually, you would design something in Fusion or whatever kind of CAD software you use, and it would successfully take that G code, put it in another program called UGS, and it would actually draw the picture on the table. We have whiteboard tables here, so I wouldn't suggest doing it on your table back at home. So this project heavily supports my theme because the pen plotter needs to be built to specifications. And if it's not, it doesn't work. And then it also actually taught me a lot about G code, which is going to be heavily needed for CNC work as well. So here's a video of it working. One of our projects was actually tasked to write the G code ourselves to draw a star. And that was definitely one of the hardest projects I've had to do. So actually for my senior capstone, this has really been my baby these past couple of years. Started off with a little project in 235, and then it grew into this big idea that I've just enjoyed building this past semester. So the name comes from the competitive rule that an athlete needs to get below parallel when competing in back squat. The inspiration also comes from the need to teach proper squat depth and technique as well. That comes from my love for weightlifting. So what it does is basically there's a webcam. It tracks a waistband and knee band, and it compares the Y values of each. So once the hip gets below the knee, that you're successfully below parallel. And actually right here, if you can see this picture, Andrew Moffat was one of the first user testers in the first iteration of Fellow World, where we actually just used pieces of duct tape to kind of test it out. And you can see right here where it's successfully tracking his knee and also tracking his hip as well. So actually the next part of my physical representation is going to be adding LEDs, 2 LED strips to be exact. One on the left is actually going to count the reps that you do, the successful below parallel reps. And the LED strip on the right is actually going to compare the Y values of both your hip and knee. So actually this actually comes from our innovation pathway. We were given 3 pathways to choose from: innovation, enterprise, and advocacy. And then my product actually fell under the innovation pathway. So my iterations for below parallel, this is my very first one. It's a little weird. So I used a ultrasonic rangefinder to kind of compare a person's butt to how close it gets to the ground to kind of determine below parallel. And then once kind of bouncing those ideas off of Zane, it's turned into this, where we have the webcam, the waistband, and the knee band. And here are the 2 LED strips right here. This one is successfully counting the reps, and this one is actually comparing the Y values of both the knee and waistband. So here's that's Andrew on the right, on the left, and that's the first iteration of this final product. Then right here, you can kind of see where it's comparing the Y values of both of them. So what's next for me is I actually plan to return home to Newnan, Georgia. I plan to pursue a career at Delta Airlines. The job I want to pursue is actually 3D design and also CNC fabrication. Just because I enjoy this so much. Any questions?